You're listening to Sox in the Basement, a production of the Broadcast Basement Limited, where every show is 30 minutes of good and comes from a basement bar on the south side of Chicago. Pull up a stool, pour a cold one, and join us right now for Sox in the Basement. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at soxinthebasement.com. And welcome into my basement. Pull up a stool at my 9-foot homemade oak bar and pour yourself a cold one. You are listening to Sox in the Basement, the White Sox podcast for fans and by fans. Just under 2 years in, and we have become something that you have let into your homes, and we appreciate it. And during the current pandemic, we are bringing you White Sox baseball simulated with MLB The Show 20 each and every day. My name is Chris Lanuti, and besides the regular Wednesday Sox in the Basement podcast, you have White Sox simulated baseball today. The White Sox have taken the first two games of a 3-game set against the hated Minnesota Twins and Jose Barrios. 2-0 with a 6.23 earned run average. Takes on Reynaldo Lopez, 1-0 with a 3.46 ERA. The 10-5 Twins sit a half game in front of the 9-5 White Sox. The Sox go for a sweep on Easter Sunday. All brought to you by Cork and Carry at the Park, 33rd in Princeton. You can get their food right now at Grubhub and directly from corkandcarryatthepark.com. Let's send it out without delay to Guaranteed Rate Field. Sox, Twins, going for the sweep on Sox in the Basement, found everywhere podcasts can be found and always at soxinthebasement.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Guaranteed Rate Field. My name is Chris Lanuti, and you are listening to Sox in the Basement, bring you another simulated game as we prepare to bring you the third of 3 games, White Sox versus Twins, on a rainy Sunday, Easter Sunday, here on the south side of Chicago. Reynaldo Lopez takes the mound. This is his third start. He's 1-0 with a 3.46 earned run average, 13 innings pitched, 10 hits, 2 walks, 13 strikeouts, and a whip under 1 at 0.92. Overcast skies today as Luis Arraez, the second baseman, steps up. The White Sox wearing their 1980s home jerseys, the red, white, and blue, as they do on Sundays, as the rain drizzles down upon them, and they trail the Twins by a half game after taking 2 at the beginning of this series. And the first pitch is a ball from Lopez. The next pitch on the way, outside corner taken for a ball, 2-0. That was close. Chilly, rainy, Easter Sunday, the pitch. And the .291 hitting Arraez takes a strike inside, 2-1 the count. Toronto already leading the Royals 1-0 early in their game. The pitch on the way. Inside swung on for a strike, 2-2 the count. Tampa Bay leading Cleveland early. Lindor's 1 for 2, but his team trails 1-0. This one inside fastball trailing up into the hands. Swung under and missed. And Lopez has his first strikeout of the game. First batter is out. 1 out here in the top of the first. Grandal back behind the plate. After a day off yesterday, McCann did well back there, not only calling the game, but good day at the plate. First pitch inside taken for a ball by Polanco, 1-0. Lopez the set. He delivers. This one is lifted deep out in the right field. 2 steps by Mazzara, and he just watches it sail over as Polanco hits one out. 384 feet at about 104 miles per hour for the solo shot in the pouring rain, which has now become much heavier. And the Twins lead 1-0. Twins took the lead yesterday. White Sox did not give up. Lopez makes a mistake here inside but over the plate. And on an overcast day, where it is daytime, and yet the lights are on, and there is a dark gray in the sky, not any blue to be seen, and rain coming down, with 1 out in the top of the first, inside and high to Nelson Cruz, 1-0 to count. Lopez has looked good early on this season. Cruz hits .327. Lopez sets the pitch on the way. Outside on the corner, taken for a strike, 1-1. Nelson Cruz had played for a while with the Twins, re-signed again this offseason. The fountain of youth has drenched Nelson Cruz as he continues to be effective late in his career. Low taken for a ball, 2-1. The next pitch on the way. Outside on the corner, didn't get the call, 3-1. As Sano waits on deck. Lopez into the line quickly. Swung on and missed on a changeup inside, 3-2 to count. The pitch from Lopez swung on and chopped into center field, right center field to be exact. Bobbled by Mazzara, but still gets in quickly enough that the runner holds at first. There's a runner on first with one out and a run already in a game that I'm surprised we're even playing as the rain pours down here in Chicago on the south side. And Sano steps up. Lopez looks in and delivers. Outside corner taken for a strike. I was surprised on the last at bat that close calls were going to the batter, when normally in conditions like this, the umpire calls anything close a strike. Outside corner taken for a ball, 1-1 in the count. Sano has spent his entire career with Minnesota, 5 years. Has run into trouble. Swung on and missed outside changeup, 1-2. Was accused of pushing a reporter, female reporter, into a room and putting his hands where they shouldn't have been. Yet somehow is out here playing. Don't have the details on what happened there, but MLB clearly saying we investigated, everything's fine. This one gets by. Grandal rolls between his legs. Runner advances 90 feet. Under the throw. 2-2 the count. A runner on second with one out. Here in the top of the first, with the Sox already trailing by 1. White Sox Simulated Baseball brought to you by Cork and Carry at the Park. 33rd in Princeton. Go to Grubhub, use the app, or just go direct to corkandcarryatthepark.com. They will take care of you. Gourmet burgers, hot dogs, hot wings, wraps, salads, you name it, they got it. Have some ballpark food. It's on par, if not better, with what you could get at the rate. And enjoy a ball game broadcast from SoxInTheBasement.com. This one is low and swung on and missed. Lopez has 2 strikeouts. 2 outs now in the top of the first. And Josh Donaldson steps in, hitting 5th in the order. He had 2 home runs yesterday in the 8th spot. Takes this one high and outside for ball 1. A lot of fans here. This is a big series. Some folks from Minnesota in, you see their jerseys. But everybody is bundled up. Many inside of rainwear as the heavens rain down upon them, and that one swung on and missed, 1-1 to count. Next pitch foul back to the backstop, 1-2. Cruz takes a lead at second. Lopez with a quick look and the pitch on the way. Outside, he didn't chase, a slider, 2-2. 22 pitches so far in the first inning. 10 for balls, 12 for strikes for Lopez. And his 23rd pitch on the way. Swung on and missed, fastball in on the hands. Donaldson goes down, frustrated. And the White Sox out of the first, but not before. A solo shot starts this game off with the Twins leading 1-0. Jose Barrios, 3 starts on the year with a 2-0 record, but an ERA of 6.23, 17.1 innings, 25 hits, 10 walks, 15 strikeouts, and a whip over 2. So he's 2-0, but his offense has bailed him out. Barrios, though, is a heck of a talent. And Tim Anderson, inning 367, 2 home runs so far in the season, steps in. And the White Sox may have wanted to go with those black jerseys because they are soaked in the red, white, and blue of the 83 Retros. This one grounded over to second base, quick toss over to first. 1 pitch, 1 out. Anderson goes back to the bench. Moncada comes up, hitting .327 with 2 home runs, 9 RBIs. His on-base percentage near .400, batting from the left side. Barrios delivers. Strike 1 on the outside corner. The Twins came in 10-3 with a comfortable lead on the White Sox, but the Sox beat the bejesus out of them in the first game, as this one is flared out for a base hit in the left field in front of the incoming defender Rosario. Moncada over to first base. The Sox took game 1 9-0. And then in a seesaw battle in dramatic fashion, yesterday afternoon, win 5-4. And they're a half game out of first. This one taken for a strike by Abreu with a runner on first, 0-1 the count. The pitch. Inside taken for a ball, 1-1 the count. Runner on first, 1-1 count, 1 out, bottom of the first. Twins struck early, they lead 1-0 in the rain. Swung on and missed at the knees inside, 1-2 to Abreu. Barrios working quickly, the pitch. Swung on and chopped back. He was lucky to get a piece of it. 1-2 the count remains. Philly and Cincy tied at 0 in about the third inning. And the next pitch inside on Abreu, swung on and missed above his shoulder and well inside the zone. A bad swing on a bad pitch. He goes down. Second out of the inning. And Edwin Encarnacion, who has quickly become the cleanup hitter for this team after Jimenez and Grandal had their turns, stands in there hitting .292 with 5 home runs and 9 RBIs and an OPS north of 1,000. Takes the first pitch for a ball. Now Encarnacion will chase a ball out of the zone with 2 strikes. But he has overall provided good hitting for the White Sox, and that's why he's in the 4 spot. He is now 2-1 with 2 outs in the top of the first. Barrios delivers. This one is smacked into right center field. Runners moving around, this ball trailing back to the wall, and it's caught on the warning track. Trailing back is Cruz. The right fielder puts it away. That was dangerous, and in better weather probably gets out. After 1, Minnesota leads 1-0. Overcast, dark, lights on already, and Matt Capps, former Minnesota Twins pitcher, joining us a little bit later on in the game. Remember, this Sox in the Basement broadcast, brought to you by Sox in the Basement, found everywhere podcasts can be found and always at soxinthebasement.com, is also recapped daily by soxon35th.com, the world-famous blog helping us bring you a baseball season in 2020. The shift is on right now for Mitch Garver. 3 guys on the left side of the infield. The first pitch taken for a ball, the next one also outside for ball 2. So 3 guys between second and third. Lopez working away. He delivers. And the .260 Garver hits this one down the third baseline, foul into the stands. 2-1 pitch on the way. Swung on and missed a slider tailing outside, 2-2 to count. Lopez delivers in the rain. Fouled off. Cleveland leads Tampa Bay 3-1 right now in the 5th inning. This next pitch chopped off down the third base line. A slider. He holds in there at 2-2. The next pitch. This one's also chopped back and hits the fence. Scared the bejesus out of the guy in the third row. 2-2 the count. Lopez continues the battle. Swung on and missed, 4-seam fastball on the outside portion of the plate. Garver trips over his own feet, heading towards the dugout. Lopez has 4 strikeouts so far in this game. So he gives up the home run, but all 4 outs have been strikeouts. And Raylo delivers inside to Eddie Rosario, fouled off for strike number 1. Rosario hitting .204. As I sit up here in the broadcast booth drinking a gourmet margarita. Inside fastball, ball, 1-1 to count. It's Easter Sunday. We're in a pandemic. I'm drinking, folks. Changeup taken for a strike, 1-2 the count. I'm going to give a shout out to those that intoxicated me today, and that's Unidad at Latin Kitchen and Bar. Inside pitch taken for a strike. 5 outs and 5 strikeouts for Lopez. With 2 outs in the top of the second, he's still trailing 1-0, and Max Kepler comes up hitting .167. Unidad's an Evergreen Park restaurant, and they closed down a couple days after this whole thing started, maybe on the 18th, 19th of March. They tried to do delivery, it wasn't working. And Sal and Jamie, husband and wife running the restaurant as this count goes 1-1 to Kepler, shut things down because their employees were nervous. They came up with a plan, carry out only. They reopened the other day, and they are not only doing food, but delicious cocktails, which I'm enjoying. Robert goes back to the track and catches one, inning over. Sox trail by 1 going to the bottom of the second. Remember to go to unidadrestaurant.com a Latin kitchen and bar. They're doing cocktails and amazing food. Check them out. Jimenez comes up. First pitch from Barrios is drilled into right field. That's a base hit. So the Sox have one on right away. Jimenez waves to the camera and says, "Hi, Mom." And Grandal comes up, hitting .205 with 3 home runs, 11 RBIs. As Jimenez has gotten out of his slump, Grandal seems to have fallen into one and has dropped from the 4th spot to the 6th spot in the lineup, even after a day off yesterday where McCann came in and hit a home run. The lefty Grandal takes the pitch inside for a strike. 0-1 the count with Jimenez on first. Outside slider, 1-1 the count. Happy Easter to all of you. The pitch, swung on and chopped towards second base. He missed it. It rolls in the right field. Jimenez on the second. Grandal is safe at first. Looked like he had a play. He couldn't get the glove there in time. Back-to-back hits in the right field. And the White Sox are in business here with 2 on and no out. Here in the bottom of the second, and Nomar Mazara steps up. The pitch on the way from Barrios. Chopped foul down the third base line. Mazara took a few days off. Engel was in there playing right field against lefties. Mazara came on yesterday after a right-handed relief pitcher came in, and in a pinch hit roll immediately hit a double that contributed to a White Sox win. This one is flared out in the left field. He calls for it and catches it. Everybody back to their bases. 1 out in the bottom of the second on the fly out to left. And Luis Robert hitting .227 in a home run comes up. The rain continues to come down. Overcast, cold. It's getting heavier as this inside 4-seam fastball is taken for a ball. 1-0 the count. Jimenez leads off a second. Outside corner, changeup catches it. 1-1 the count. Grandal at first, Jimenez at second. Barrios working quickly. Swung on and driven deep all the way to the track. A great play, and the runners will hold. Jimenez came off the bag thinking it was gone, and by the time he realized it wasn't, he had to return to second. So this is a fly out all the way to dead center on the track, and nobody advances. And Danny Mendick, the 9-hitter, comes in now with 2 outs in the bottom of the second. With first and third, takes 2 balls immediately inside in the rain. Mendick stands in. It's getting heavier. The pitch. Check swing, taken for a strike, 2-1. The 2-1 pitch from Barrios to Mendick. Swung on and chopped down the third baseline foul. Barrios put on the first and second batters of the inning, and now gets Mendick to swing for strike 3 and escapes the inning. After 2, 1-0 Twins here on the south side of Chicago in the rain. The White Sox have more hits than the Twins, but trail 1-0. As Byron Buxton steps in, hitting .293. The rain continues to pour down on Reynaldo Lopez. And this one is bunted down the third base line. It is fair. Moncada should have let that go foul. Instead, he tries to one-handed, and Buxton is safe at first. That is the 4th time this series that Buxton has bunted down the third base line. He has been out on 3 attempts, and he finally got to first base. The very first pitch to the next batter is popped up. Grandal underneath it. He will catch it right in front of home plate. Araz is down, and the number 2 hitter, Polanco, 1-for-1 with a solo shot, comes up with a runner on first base and 1 out. Top of the third, inside pitch taken for a strike. Polanco's 2-for-10 lifetime against Reynaldo Lopez with 3 strikeouts. He sets the pitch. High 4-seam fastball taken for a ball, 1-1 in the count. Texas leading Houston 5-2 in the 5th inning. This 4-seam fastball is fouled down the third base line, 1-2 the count to Polanco. Lopez with the pitch. Chopped up the middle, nobody's going to get it. It's going to dribble into center field. The runner's trying to go first to third. Robert into third base with a bad throw that pulls Moncada off the bag. And Buxton's in safely. He needs to get him there. When Robert got the ball, Buxton was right at second base. And at that point, all he has to do is pick it up off the ground and throw it in. And Buxton beats him from shallow center field. With one out in the top of the third, first and third now, and the first strike to Nelson Cruz, who's 1 for 1 with a single in the first inning. Reynaldo Lopez, wiping the rain off of his hat, delivers. Inside four-seam fastball taken for a ball, 1-1 the count. Cruz has a WAR just under 37, meaning he's almost responsible for 37 wins above the replacement at this point in his career. And he's 1-2 now with one out in the top of the third, first and third. And Lopez, 47 pitches so far here in the top of the third. His toughest outing of the season by far. The pitch, gets a hold of it and dribbles it right up the middle. The runner will score another play at third base, and Robert can't get the runner. First and third on a dribble up the middle, and they're nickeling and diming the White Sox to a 2-0 lead here on the south side in the top of the third. And Cooper's out talking to Lopez and trying to calm down his young pitcher, who has been very effective. But the 5-starter in the White Sox rotation going up against the ace of the Twins is now down. He throws this one inside and tight to Miguel Sano for ball 1. Sano struck out in the first inning. He's got 2 on and 1 out here in the top of the third, and 2 runs in already. The pitch on the way. Swung on and flown out in the deep center field. Way back. Robert looks up, and this one is gone. Right over the 400 sign. And where Ray Lopez has been incredibly effective this season for the White Sox, he is now down quickly, 5-0 on a 422-foot home run that got out of here at over 110 miles per hour. Miguel Sano, hitting below the Mendoza line, hit that ball a mile. And the White Sox are quickly down by 5 early in this game. On a rainy afternoon on the south side of Chicago that looks like evening. And you're starting to wonder, why do we play this game? The next pitch to Donaldson's outside 0-1 the count, with 1 out here in the top of the third. And it looks bad, real bad. And Lopez has to limit the damage, and hopefully his offense can get him back into this. The Sox took the first 2 games of the series. 0-2 pitch to Donaldson, flared down the third base line foul. And they were convincing on Friday night and won an intense battle yesterday afternoon. But now, in the cold and the rain, going for the sweep, the Twins have gotten the best of Lopez. They have 2 home runs so far and have amassed 5 runs with 1 out in the top of the third. And Donaldson remains up there with a 1-2 count. The pitch from Lopez. Swung on and chopped to Anderson. He will take it on 2 hops and swing it over. Encarnacion over at first base today receives it for the second out. Abreu, the DH, Encarnacion, the first baseman today. And there's 2 outs in the top of the third for Mitch Garver. And the pitch on the way. Outside ball. And the shift is on again with Mendick, Anderson, and Moncada between second and third. And Encarnacion basically playing second base, shading towards first. This one is chopped foul, 1-1 the count. The way the Sox are playing right now, I'm glad I've been drinking all day. This one is down the third base line. I started off with a 32-ounce jug of beer delivered by Open Outcry over in Morgan Park, Beverly, on Western Avenue, 109th and Western. Swung out and missed. That's strike 3. So the Sox are done with the top of the third, but not before. They are now trailing 5-0. Bottom of the third, 5-0 bad guys. Tim Anderson with his second at bat here, leading off the inning. 0 for 1 with a ground out in the first. And Barrios, you hope the weather gets to him, and these hot Sox bats can get back in this game as this one is flared out in the right field. 1 pitch, 1 out. Caught along the line. 1 out in the bottom of the third. Sox, a half game behind Minnesota coming into this game. Cleveland, playing well in their game, and if they win, will be 10-7. If the Sox lose, they'll basically be even with a team that they beat 2 out of 3, trailing another team that they beat 2 out of 3. But it's a long season. Moncada chops this one down the third base line. 0-1 the count. So I had the 32-ouncer, from open outcry. Low pitch at the knees. 0-2. Wonderful Old English ale that was 9.5 ABV. It's incredible. Inside pitch on the hand, swung on and missed. Moncada goes down on strikes. 2 outs in the bottom of the third. Third strikeout for Barrios. Then, I had a couple of Lagunitas, IPAs, as we kept social distancing and delivered Easter goodies around the neighborhood to family and friends. Low pitch taken for a ball, 1-0, to Abreu, who's 0 for 1 with a strikeout in the first. Then my wife says, we're going to support a local business. And Unidad had just opened up here in Evergreen. We go over there, we get tacos, some corn that had like spice on it, some kind of Brussels sprout thing. And I hate Brussels sprouts, and it was amazing. It was breaded. 2-1 now to Abreu. And then they made margaritas. And at this point, I know we're losing 5-0, but I'm enjoying myself here in the booth. 2-2 to the count. The pitch on the way. Chopped down the third base line, just foul. Abreu with 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. Barrios delivers. Swung on and chopped off down the first base line. Abreu hangs in there. I'm going to do my best Harry Doyle today from Major League. Swung on and missed by Abreu way outside. After 3, the White Sox trail 5-0 on Easter. Foundation issues not properly handled can be costly. Family Waterproofing Solutions is owned by Ken, a veteran of the United States Marines, and his wife Maria, making them a veteran-owned business and a female-owned business that will diagnose and repair wet or leaky basements. And while they're located on the Sox side, Family Waterproofing services the entire Chicagoland area and Northwest Indiana. And now, after taking time off to ensure they can do things safely and securely for you, Family Waterproofing is back in business and doing jobs. Plus, part of the proceeds for every job that they do are donated to veteran and first responder organizations who support our frontline defenders. And currently, Sox in the Basement listeners have access to special pricing when they contact Family Waterproofing Solutions now, 708-330-4466, or visit them today at FamilyBasementWaterproofing.com. Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard from Family Waterproofing Solutions. Remember, they have Sox in the Basement deals available to you. And all you have to do is tell them you heard about them with Sox in the Basement. On certain days, you could get 20% off. They got 2-for-1 offers. Check them out and tell them we told you to give them a call. Eddie Rosario steps in here in the top of the fourth. 0 for 1 with a strikeout in the second. He is 1 for 9 on the series, but he has a home run. The pitch from Lopez. Outside corner taken for a ball. The next pitch on the way. Swung on and driven deep down the right field line that will clear the wall. Rosario flips his bat, and the Twins are up 6-0. I want to tell you to continue to listen, but I feel like by the time of this broadcast, I will be talking to nobody as the Sox trail 6-0, and I'm going to have another drink. I mean, at this point, what the heck? It's Easter. It's simulated, and we're losing by 6. This is brutal. Lopez, who had been so good early in the season, having a stinker out here tonight in the pouring rain for the Chicago White Sox. He's given up 6 here in the top of the fourth, and Kepler steps in. The pitch on the way is high, taken for a strike. Already Carson Fulmer and Evan Marshall are warming. Renteria understands that it's a tough prospect to come back in this game as Lopez gets Kepler 0-2. Next pitch chopped to first base over Abreu's glove, but Mendick gets it and tosses to Lopez covering first. And that's 1 out here in the top of the fourth. Buxton steps in the 9th spot with a single and a run scored. He keeps trying to bunt down the third base line. Took him the entire series to get Moncada on a judgment play where he probably should have let that one go foul. He's 0-1 now with 1 out at the top of the fourth. A rainy Easter Sunday, and I think that gets all of our moods exactly where they should be. It's Easter, and it sucks. It's terrible that we can't hang out with family and friends. It's terrible what's going on right now in the world. The good news is the White Sox in this simulated season are playing well, as Buxton is 3-1. And even if they lose this game, they will have taken 4 of the first 5 series they played in and be 9-6. If they can come back in this game, they will take first place from the Minnesota Twins. So I look at this game as Buxton takes a ball and walks down 90 feet to first base. As we're playing with house money early in the season, with our 5-starter against their 1-starter, and maybe we pull off a miracle and get some excitement at the end of this game. An Easter miracle. Not the Easter miracle, but an Easter miracle. 1-0 pitch, inside taken for a strike on a 4-seam fastball, 1-1 the count. I was at a game years ago on Easter. White Sox trailing by 4 in the bottom of the 9th, and Tadahito Iguchi hit a grand slam on Easter Sunday. As this one is popped up to Abreu in foul territory, and he gets it. 2 outs in the top of the 4th. Iguchi tied the game on a grand slam on an Easter Sunday afternoon. The Sox eventually lost, but I'm going to tell you something right now. We jumped around and partied like crazy on that grand slam. When you're 2 outs and trailing by 4, and he comes up and it's a granny. Easter has been interesting for the White Sox historically. 1-0 pitch to Polanco now. This one is jam shot to Mendick. He will go to second. He'll get the force. The inning is over. After 4.5, the White Sox trail 6-0. But this game is long from over, and this team is yet to be shut out this year. Let's get some runs in the rain. In the next inning, Matt Capps joins us, former Minnesota Twins pitcher. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the real world of baseball and these ideas, and many of them have been circulated, about what the White Sox and everybody else in Major League Baseball might do to get the season actually started. Encarnacion is up 0-1. Barrios, with his 38th pitch here in the bottom of the 4th, throws strike 1 on the inside corner. Encarnacion has 5 home runs. He only trails Jimenez, who has 6, and got 1 yesterday. The pitch. Swung on and flared out in the left center field. This one is deep. It may carry over. This one is caught at the wall, over the wall, by Byron Buxton. He went up and he pulls it back in left center field and steals the home run for out number 1. And the next pitch thrown to Eloy Jimenez, outside corner low, taken for a strike, 0-1. So far, it's been all Twins, but this Sox team is a comeback squad. We've seen it early on in the season, and until this game is over, I will believe. 2 straight balls to Jimenez, who's 1-for-1, 2-1 the count, as Detroit leads the Angels 7-3 on Easter Sunday. Swung on and missed on the hands, 2-2 now. And man, this margarita is tasty. This one is fouled back into the upper deck. 2-2 in the rain on a gloomy Easter Sunday. The pitch on the way. Swung on and sent out in the center field. It's going to be a can of corn. 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th. Yasmani Grandal, who's had some troubles here in the last week, is 1-for-1 in this game. The lefty stands in against Barrios, the righty. Takes an inside changeup for a ball, 1-0. Grandal is near the Mendoza line in average, but leads the White Sox in RBIs with 11. Pitch number 47 from Barrios. Inside, 2-0 the count. The 2-0 pitch on the way. Inside taken for a ball, 3-0. Hitters count with Mazzara on deck. A cold, windy, rainy day, and the Twins lead 6-0. Early in the game, 4 pitches, 4 balls. Grandal's down to first, and Mazzara steps in, 0-for-1 with a flyout in the second. The average is only .214. He had some heroics yesterday, though, and he's kind of been regulated to a platoon role in right field. That doesn't mean the White Sox won't eventually see if he can get hot against both sides when it comes to pitchers. But this young man has had 4 years in the majors with a lot of hype, was traded from his original team, and Frank Manchino believes he can fix him. He's 1-0 right now with 2 outs in the bottom of the fourth and a runner on. The pitch on the way. Low, taken for a ball, 2-0. The 2-0 pitch. High, but in the strike zone, 2-1. A lot of fans showed up on Easter. They're sitting in the rain. They're sitting with their jackets on. They're sitting in the cold. The pitch on the right. Low, slider. Outside, 3-1 to count. Barrios stares in the pitch. Swung on and chopped foul on the first base line. And they're full with 2 outs here in the bottom of the fourth and runner on first. Mazzara awaits the pitch. He takes ball 4, borderline pitch, good eye. He will go down to first base, first and second here with 2 outs in the bottom of the fourth. Look, you're down by 6, but nothing says you can't chip away. And Luis Robert, who's a rookie, who's 0 for 1 with a .222 average, but has done well in certain games, you may see this kid not be afraid. He may not care about the 6-0 deficit as he flares this one in the right field, and immediately it is caught. So forget me building him up. He's out, and that's the end of the inning. Sorry, folks. I keep trying to bring excitement. The White Sox keep losing. 6-0, end of 4. Carson Fulmer will start off this inning. Ricky Renteria is done with Ray Lopez. Fulmer's got 2 1/3 innings pitched, and a 3.86 earned run average, 6 strikeouts and 2 walks. And he had a terrible first outing in extra innings about a week and a half ago, where he walked a batter, gave up 2 hits, and then walked in the winning run and never got an out. But since then has been effective, and he's 2-1 against Cruz right now, the number 3 hitter, who's 2 for 2 in this 6-0 ball game in the top of the 5th. It'll be Fulmer, at least for the next couple innings, I would expect. This one is sent out, a base hit to Jimenez. He'll get it in quickly. It's a single. There's 1 on here in the top of the 5th with no outs. Pouring rain. Miserable day. They can't all be winners. If every game was a 10-0 win by the White Sox, you'd be like, Chris, you're faking it. No. This is what's actually happening. Inside pitch on the hands, taken for a ball by Sano. He's 1 for 2 with a 3-run home run, and the guy is still hitting under 200 on the season. Runner with a slight lead at first base. This game is not over yet. I have faith. Low and inside, 2-0. Renteria, at this point, has to let pitchers like Fulmer get their work in. A guy with no options, you have to see what he can do. Righty against righty, the pitch. Outside, 3-0. First guy got on with a hit. Second guy's 3-0. And Josh Donaldson, the hottest hitter in the major leagues with 8 home runs already this season, hitting near 400, stands on deck. The pitch. That one's taken for a strike, 4-seam fastball, low in the zone but down the middle. 3-1 to count. The next pitch on the way. He did not chase on a changeup on the outer portion of the plate. So that's a walk. First 2 guys on for Fulmer. Donaldson comes up here in the top of the 5th. It's 6-0 already for the Twins. He's 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a groundout. He had 2 home runs yesterday. But in a big moment, in the 9th inning, Aaron Bummer got him on a wicked pitch on the outside portion of the plate. The next batter went down. The White Sox won that game, and they are 2-0 so far in this series. And have already won the series, but would like to get this game. First pitch outside, taken for a strike. The next pitch from Fulmer swung on and sent out into right field. Jimenez underneath it will make the easy play. The runners go back to their bases. 1 out here in the top of the 5th. Big crowd for Easter Sunday. You know what's disappointing is you get this big crowd on a Sunday early in the season because of how the White Sox played in the first 2 games. And it's cold and it's raining on the Easter holiday. And the Sox are trailing 6-0. Here in the top of the 5th with 1 out. And that pitch taken for a strike by Garver. 0-1 the count. Fulmer delivers. High pitch. 1-1. We are going to get to Matt Capps here in the bottom of the 5th inning, I promise. The pitch on the way. This one is flared down the third baseline foul into the stands. 1-2. The pitch. Swung on and belted into center field. It's going to be a base hit. Robert's going to come up throwing. He is not going to get anybody here, though. The runner will score from second. It's 7-0. A brutal, horrible, terrible, rainy, cold, disgusting, awful ball game here by the White Sox. As Rosario, the 7-hitter, comes up with his team up 7-0. This one is sent into center field. Robert, trailing back, will make the play. He's underneath it. He catches it and throws it in. 2 outs. You are going to have games like this. If somebody would have told me before the series, we destroy the Twins on Friday night and win the close one on Saturday, but we get beat on Sunday, I've been like 2 out of 3. We did better than them. I'll take it. If you would have told me the 5 guy in your rotation would get off to a bad start, I would have understood it. So I'm not shocked by the result, but I feel like there was a little bit of anticipation in this game that the White Sox were going to pull this one out. Now it's not over. It's the top of the 5th, and anything can happen. Right now, Fulmer is 2-1 though against Kepler. Righty versus lefty. Kepler the lefty, with 2 on and 2 outs in the top of the 5th. Fulmer stares in, the droplets of water beating up on his glasses. The pitch on the way. That's a strike taken, 2-2. Trust me, I'm not going to enjoy broadcasting this and then going through and editing out the pauses. I got to listen to this twice. This one's flying out to Jimenez. He catches it in left field. The inning is over. The White Sox, with a very silent crowd, go into the dugout midway through the 5th, trailing by 7. In pouring rain, in the bottom of the 5th inning, 0-for-1 Danny Mendick steps up with his team trailing by 7th, and Jose Barrios throwing his 57th pitch of the game for a strike on the outside corner. 0-1 the count. The pitch. Swung on and chopped to short. Polanco over to first. And that's the first out of the inning. Barrios has 39 strikes so far in this game, over 58 pitches. And Tim Anderson, 0-for-2, with a fly out and a ground out, steps in. Righty on righty, the pitch on the way. Swung on and chopped foul on the third base line. Still enjoying delicious margaritas and dreaming of food from Cork and Carry at the Park. You can find them on Grubhub or at corkandcarryatthepark.com. Swung on and missed, 0-2 pitch on the way. That one's outside, taken for a ball, 1-2. Anderson, with 1 out in the bottom of the 5th, waits the next pitch. And here it is. Swung on and chopped to second. Easy ground ball over to first. And there's 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th quickly. I almost want to see Yerman Mercedes come in and play. Let's put him behind the plate for a few innings. Why not? It's Easter. He's had 2 pinch hit opportunities. He's 1-for-2. And nobody believes in him as a long-term player. I know I don't. As Moncada takes this one 1-0. I keep saying we're going to get to Matt Capps. We'll get to him in the top of the 6th. I keep forgetting to go to him at the beginning of the inning, and I want to give him time to talk. So he'll wait on hold. This one's outside, 2-0 the count. Barrios cruising. Rain falling. Chilly air. 7-0 Twins. The pitch. Inside, taken for a ball, 3-0. You know, when a team is having troubles like this, as lightning goes off in the distance, you need a few runs to make you feel like you have a chance. The Sox at this point have not even challenged to get 1 or 2. As Barrios, now 3-1 to Moncada, tries to get him out to finish the inning. The pitch. Inside, taken for a ball, Moncada down to first base. 7-0, 2 outs, bottom of the 5th. Moncada goes right away. High pitch taken for a ball. He is out at second base. But can you blame him? He's just trying to get something going. So on the first pitch to Abreu, Moncada's hit on the wrist as he comes into second. He looks safe to me. They're going to call him out. And that ends the 5th inning. Top of the 6th, Buxton comes in against Fulmer. The pitch on the way. Swung on inside and missed. 0-1. Let's go to Matt Capps. We might as well. You know, as Fulmer continues to deliver, and this one swung on and missed, 0-2. Matt Capps joins me. He's a former relief pitcher for the Minnesota Twins. Sox have already taken the first 2 games, Matt, so we won the series. And let's talk a little bit about what's going on in Major League Baseball. As Buxton swings this one, 3 pitches, 3 strikes. He's out, 1 out in the top of the 6th. Lots of talk. Do we go to the spring training facilities? Do we play shortened games? Do we keep people away from their families? What's your feeling on this? The good, the bad, and the ugly, Matt. As the next one is immediately lined out, and the second baseman, Araz, brings the second out with the top of the 6th. So, Matt, talk quickly as Polanco steps in.
Now you're going to get into the conversation with players and the Players Association of protecting careers. And, us as me on the other side of it being just a fan now, I don't want to see guys risk their careers to get back and, accomplish something this year, on a shorter amount of time. Maybe it's a little different because they had spring training and then now, most guys are able to throw and are able to kind of stay in some kind of shape. Maybe it is accelerated, but, we have to be aware of that too. I heard the Scott Boras proposal talking about taking the playoffs all the way up into Christmas and, doing the American League playoffs in Arizona and the National League in Florida or vice versa, and then the World Series at a neutral site. It all sounds great. I think it would be awesome, and believe me, I would love nothing more than to watch my kids open Christmas presents on Christmas Day and then watch Game 7 of the World Series that night. Like, that would be awesome. But now you got 25 guys or 26 guys now on each team that are playing up until almost the new year, and then they're starting spring training in 6 weeks. They're going to have 0 downtime. You're going to see a huge spike in injuries in 2021 if that's how it plays out. I think we can probably tiptoe around it and get away with it, extending the playoffs into mid-November, maybe up into Thanksgiving. But you start getting into December and you're taking away from that downtime and training time for guys, you're going to start risking careers in 2021, 2022, and so on.
It will have to be safe enough for the players. 3-1 now in the count. I don't think players are going to agree to play in empty stadiums away from their families. This one's down the line, but foul. 3-2 to count. Down the first base line, the next one inside, and Abreu takes it, and he goes down on strikes. 5th strikeout for Barrios, and man, the White Sox have been frustrating today at the plate. I don't think there's going to be baseball, at least until the players can play and still have contact with their families. You have too many guys that have young wives. I mean, let's think about this realistically. Baseball players, they're good looking, they got money, they got pretty wives, they're young, they want to have babies. There are pregnant baseball wives everywhere right now. Zach Wheeler, remember the White Sox tried to sign him? He's already said, I'm not leaving my pregnant wife. Remember, she wouldn't sign with the White Sox even though it was more money. They offered her and him more money to come to the south side of Chicago. She went to Philly for less. She's not letting him go. She's going to tell him to stay home. And they can't force him. You're going to have stars sitting out. 1-2 now to Encarnacion with 1 out. Swung on and fouled off down the third base line. You have too many players that are going to be pressured by wife and family to not play. As Encarnacion goes down swinging, 6th strikeout for Barrios. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th. And I just don't see how baseball happens when you're going to have stars. And Wheeler's a star. You're going to have many other stars say, I'm not playing. What happens if Mike Trout tells you his wife won't let him play? You know? What happens if you have a big-name player saying, I can't come in and do this? First pitch, flied out to right field. Sox go down quickly here. The Twins kicking their butts. We move on to the 7th inning. 7-0. Fulmer stays in, and why not? It's not like this White Sox offense has offered you anything in the pouring rain. Half the fans have left the stadium. There's a lot of empty seats now. People filing out of here on Easter Sunday. The weather's terrible. There's a plague. And why are you going to stand around in the rain? First pitch taken outside for a ball. Next one inside taken for a strike, 1-1. Back to my point last inning. I just don't see how baseball plays. I want them to play. Don't think otherwise. A month ago, when I thought this wasn't as serious as it actually was because we were getting bad information, I thought they were never going to even stop the Major League Baseball season. I was like, this isn't going to stop. Swinging strikeout, the third strikeout for Fulmer. 1 out now. And Sano comes up after Fulmer gets Cruz. I was convinced there was no way that they were going to stop the season. You can go back and listen to the show. I was like, that's crazy. There's no way. I mean, there were people saying this thing was like 1 out of 1,000 people might die from it. It was not as serious. You know, I mean, hindsight's 20/20, but it didn't seem that bad a month ago. Then we got better information and realized why we need to stay in, why we need to flatten the curve. Now I'm one of those guys standing on his porch yelling at neighborhood kids, go home. Get away from your friends, you stupid idiots. I'm going to call your parents. 1-1 the count. This one smacked into center field by Sano. Robert trailing back to the wall. He will catch it on the track in the rain still. I don't know why we played this game, especially when we're losing 7-0. 2 outs in the top of the 7th. Fulmer stares in at Donaldson. The pitch on the way. High, ball 1. But I don't know how we're going to play baseball. Because even if they let you out of your homes, it's not like the disease has gotten less deadly, less contagious. And if we go out of our homes, aren't we all just going to get sick now instead of 2 months ago? It just seems silly. 1-2 to count. On the other hand, you understand the whole economic downturn. I know a lot of small businesses, they're very worried that they won't be able to stay afloat. And trust me, if all these people go under, we're on our way to our next Great Depression. So it's a difficult thing to deal with. But Major League Baseball just has to figure out, how do we get players to play? As the count goes full with Garver on deck. And I don't know how you get players to play. These guys make money that you and I will never see. The league minimum in a year is far more than 99% of us will ever see in 2 or 3 years. As this one is grounded underneath Anderson's glove as he dives towards the third base side into right field for a base hit with 2 outs. There's a runner on here in the top of the 7th, with the Twins continuing to lead 7-0 in the rain. These guys make an insane amount of money. Now, I'm sure they live a lifestyle that's better than yours and I's. Quickly, Garver is 0-2. The pitch from Fulmer, inside taken for a ball. Look, these guys make a lot of money. They live at a lifestyle that you and I can't understand. And even if they don't think it's a big deal, they may be married to somebody who thinks it's a big deal. And so you're going to have players pressured to go out and make that money. As this one is chopped down the first base line, 2-2 the count. You're going to have guys told, we make enough money. Why are you going to go out during this? Take the year off. And I just don't know how you're going to actually have a season. Because I would predict 15 to 20% of Major League Baseball players will not show up if they try to play a season without fans. During a pandemic with no cure and no vaccine. And these guys have young children and can't be near their wives. I just don't see it happening. The 2-2 pitch, high, taken for a ball, 3-2. Rosario's on deck. Sox trail 7-0. Garver's up, hitting 1 for 3 today. And Fulmer's ready for pitch number 50. He came in to take care of Lopez, who had a terrible start. This one's low for a ball. Runners on first and second here in the top of the 2nd with 2 outs. I don't think Fulmer finishes the game, but there's no way they're pulling him with the offense doing nothing in a rainy, cold day, and there's not an off day for almost 2 more weeks. 2 weeks from today, the White Sox get an off day. I'm looking at the schedule right now. Until then, nothing. Non-stop, back-to-back-to-back games unless weather cancels something. They play in the rain today, and I kind of wish this one was canceled because they had taken the first 2 against the Twins. And then, this has been ugly. The 1-0 pitch outside, 2-0 the count. But I don't see how baseball can convince people to come back to work that don't need the money. Yeah, they're competitive. They have families. They have kids. And although you might get 80% of them to come back, how are you going to have a season that's shortened with 20% of your players out and some of them might be stars? 2 strikes now quickly, 2-2 to count to Rosario with runners on first and second with 2 outs in the top of the 2nd. The pitch from Fulmer, outside taken for a ball, 3-2. Kepler stands in on deck, hitting 157, hoping Rosario can get on. Fulmer, somehow, still wearing shades in overcast skies in the rain, and the pitch. That one's high for ball 4. The bases are full with 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. I mean, think about it. If you made a couple $1 billion a year, why are you going to work during this? There are people out of work. Heck, my wife washes off all of her groceries when they come in. She's using dish soap to wash the fruits and vegetables that she picks up from Mariano's. And you're going to tell me that after you've made millions of dollars, that it's worth going out and risking it and staying away from your family for 5 months? I don't buy it. That one's flied out to Moncada down the third base line, foul. The inning's over. We go to the bottom of the 7th with the White Sox trailing 7-0. Grandal steps in the bottom of the 7th, flares this one down the first base line, foul. 0-1. Barrios continues the pitch here, deep, and why not? He's given up no runs. He's at 82 pitches. He's 0-2 to the first hitter here in the bottom of the 7th, and he's got a 7-0 lead. I had Jose Barrios on my fantasy baseball team a few years ago. Now, I'm going to tell you the trade that I made, and it won me a championship. This one's high and outside, 1-2 the count. Evan Marshall warming in the bullpen. He'll come in, I would expect, in the 8th inning. I traded Barrios, a minor leaguer at the time, and Yoan Moncada, who had just joined the White Sox, to a White Sox fan for Anthony Rizzo in a dynasty league. And while now he puffs his chest out over that deal, I won 2 championships over 2 straight years with Rizzo on first base while Barrios and Moncada continued to develop. That's a strikeout on the outside corner, and Grandal goes back to the bench. But if you look at it now, Moncada is a premier player. He's going to challenge for the MVP this year. And Barrios is a clear ace on a team that won a division last year and is the favorite this year, although the White Sox have played them close. And even losing 7-0, have already taken 2 out of 3 in this series, as Mazara steps up and takes the first pitch for a strike. Next pitch foul back, 0-2. The Sox have not been shut out all season long, but here on Easter Sunday in the rain at home are in danger of just that. Outside high pitch, 1-2 the count. I've had a lot of people ask me, what do you do with the games? Do you influence the games? Do you have your kid playing the games? Do you play the games? No. Completely simulated. I sit here and watch a game. And today I'm half in the bag. Well, 3/4 in the bag. I may be full in the bag. This one's inside, 3-2 to count. The only things I do is I help out the manager with pitching substitutions. And I try to help out with replacements in the lineup, because you can see that guys are getting tired and they're going to perform badly. But that's it. This one's fouled off, 3-2 to count, and the next pitch is flared into left field. They had a shift down for Mazara, so he beats the shift. He is going to head into second easily with a double. As that ball is rattling around in the left field corner, and there was nobody there because the left fielder was almost the center field when the play started. So Mazara's on second, and Robert's going to come up. The rain continues to pour. The team continues to trail 7-0, and I continue to have no effect on these games. And that's why I'm excited about how the Sox have started off. This one's dribbled to third and dropped by Donaldson. The runner's going to hold at second because he could have grabbed it and tagged him out. But an E5 puts Robert on. First and second now in the bottom of the 7th with 1 out. And Danny Mendick comes up to the plate, and they're going to call Mendick back. And they're going to pinch hit for Danny Mendick here with a 7-0 game. And let Leury Garcia come up and hit for him and play second base. So Renteria, although he's enjoyed the defense of Mendick, would like to be able to let Leury get up there, who bats switch, and go to the left side of the plate against the righty Barrios. Takes the first pitch high and inside for a ball, 1-0, with 2 on here in the bottom of the 7th. The pitch. Low and inside, taken for a strike, 1-1. Barrios up to 95 pitches here. He looks in and delivers. Low and outside, 2-1 the count. Barrios sets the pitch. High pitch, but taken for a strike. Right at the letters, 2-2. on a curveball. The next one on the way, swung on and chopped up the middle. That one's going to go off the shortstop's glove. Everybody's going to be safe, and the bases are loaded here in the bottom of the 7th. So a 7-0 lead for the Twins with one out in the bottom of the 7th, and Tim Anderson comes up, and one swing could make this a game. And you got to cling to moments like this when you're in a bad game and you're in late afternoon with overcast skies. The lights have been on all day in a day game. He's 0-1 quickly, the pitch on the way. Swung on and fouled off down the first base line, 0-2. Anderson's got a grand slam already this year. The pitch. Swung on and lifted deep into left field. Rosario goes back to the wall, and he will catch it against the fence. The runner on third is going to score. It will not be a shutout as Mazzara crosses the plate. That was very close to making it 7-4 and making this a game. Instead, it's 7-1 with 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th. Yoan Moncada comes up, and let's not forget, if he gets a hold of it, it's still 7-4. There's 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th. With runners on first and second, Robert leads off of second base. The pitch on the way. Swung on and missed on a four-seam fastball under the bat. 0-1 the count. The pitch. Low, taken for a ball on a changeup. Barrios remains in the game. He's over 100 pitches now, with a 6-run lead here in the bottom of the 7th and 2 outs. High pitch, taken for a ball, 2-1 the count. Look, managers have the opinion that if a guy gets this far and he's got a big lead, let him go. But Barrios is weaker now than he's ever been. And we've got a possible MVP candidate up there as this one gets away. Both runners advance 90 feet. And on a 3-1 count, you got runners at second and third with 2 outs. And this is the moment to strike with Moncada up there. Swung on and chopped foul down the first base line. Barrios at 106 pitches with 2 on. Moncada up the pitch. This one is also chopped down the first base line foul. The Twins trying to let Barrios finish the 7th, the pitch. This one is lifted down the line. It is fair into the corner in left field. 2 runs are going to score. Moncada's on his way to second. And the White Sox have scored 3 now in the 7th inning and trail by 4. The comeback is on with a 2-run double by Moncada. It is 7-3 here in the bottom of the 7th inning. And right now, I'm going to talk to the 6 people that continued listening, because everybody else turned it off. If we win this game, people are going to listen to tomorrow's game and be like, what the heck happened? How did they win that game? I hope they do it. Barrios is going to leave the game now. He is done after 6 2/3. Moncada's on second. Abreu is up. And Homer Bailey's going to come in. And remember, we tore this guy apart in game 1 of the series. This is his 8th appearance. He's 2-1, 0-for-1 in save opportunities over 21 innings, with a 3.43 earned run average, 14 strikeouts to 11 walks. And the righty stands in against Abreu, who's 0-for-3 with Moncada on second. And the pitch is on the way. Swung on and chopped down the first base line. Tough play. Big stab over there by Kepler. He's going to get Abreu. 1 pitch, 1 out. Bailey walks off the mound like he's Vince McMahon walking into WWE Raw. But the White Sox are now by 4 now after 7. Evan Marshall will come in with the Sox trailing by 4 here in the 8th inning. He's got 5 appearances, 6 2/3 innings with a 2.70 ERA, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks. Righties and lefties all hitting below 250 against him. Buxton stands in 1-for-2, the pitch on the way. Low and outside changeup taken for a strike. The rain continues to pour as Marshall and his team that was trailing by 7 now only trails by 4. And the White Sox are a dangerous lineup. The game is not over yet. Half the crowd is left, the other half sticking out here in the rain. And I'm just sitting here in the booth with my margarita and a smile. Low and outside, 1-1. Happy Easter to everybody. 28,290 showed up. Although I would say at least 10,000 have left. Maybe 15. Inside changeup taken for a ball, 2-1. Marshall sets and delivers to Buxton. This is a bunt popped up. Grandal will catch it. And there's 1 out. Cleveland beat Tampa Bay 5-4 today. They have a chance to pull, I don't know if it's even or a half game behind the White Sox if the Twins can beat the Sox today. So it's very competitive at the top of the AL Central. There's a low pitch at the knees to Luis Arraez. Goes for a strike, 0-1. The Angels beat Detroit 9-7. They kicked their butts in Detroit all weekend long. 0-2 pitch on the way. Outside changeup taken for a ball. 1-2 the count. You know, you can't win every game, but man, it would be fun to come back in this one. And in the pouring rain, if they're winning the first 2 games, you feel like you're playing with house money, as this one's outside for a ball, 2-2. If they lose, you can't be too upset. If they win, you're doing cartwheels. This one is grounded to Anderson, who's going to scoop and throw to first. 2 outs here now in the top of the 8th inning. The Sox lineup is potent. It's not the White Sox lineup from the last couple of years. And yeah, they don't have their big pitchers in right now. I get that. And yeah, they're losing 7-3. But just think of it as they're down by 4 and they've got 6 outs left to give. And think about what they've done as Polanco steps in. He started the scoring for the Twins with a solo home run in the first, and he lifts this one deep into right field. They're going to look up, and it's his second home run of the game. That lands directly into section 108, wrapping around the foul pole. And it's no longer a 4-run lead, it's a 5-run lead. And it's 8-3 Twins on a big hit by Polanco. This is one of those moments where fans will sit there in the pouring rain, the cold, and say, that's it, I'm done. And you could see it as they start to file out of the ballpark. Ground ball in between Anderson and Garcia, who's now at second base. And the runner's on first with 2 outs here in the 8th. There was hope, and those that had stuck around believed. But now you're going to lose even more fans after that home run. Now you got a base hit. It's cold, it's rainy, it's Easter. People are heading towards the exit as Sano comes in. Drills this one over to short. Anderson's going to pick it on the one hop and get it over to second to end the inning. But Polanco gets one of the 3 runs the White Sox got back. And midway through the 8th, the Sox trail by 5, 8-3 on Easter. The White Sox hit the road. Tomorrow they go to Kansas City for 3. Then they're back home for 4 against the Rangers and 3 against the Royals. So it's a quick road trip, a 3-game series against the Royals, who they already took 2 out of 3 against. They're getting all their Kansas City games in early because they will have already played 6 against them before we get to next weekend. And they'll have 3 more against them next week. Encarnacion comes up. He's 1-1 quickly as Bailey throws a strike and then a ball on the next pitch on the way. Taken outside, 2-1. So we got the 4-hitter Encarnacion, the 5-hitter Jimenez, and the 6-hitter Grandal. Inside fastball, strike, 2-2. I would think if nothing happens with the first 2 batters, you could actually let Yerman Mercedes come in and hit and catch the 9th inning. You want to give some activity to the guy. And this has been a blowout all game. 2-2 pitch taken inside for a strike. It's a terrible call by the umpire, I'll be honest with you. It was way too inside, but it's raining and your team's down by 5, and you're not getting the benefit of the doubt. So 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th, and Jimenez comes up 1 for 3, and Bailey delivers to him. The righty Bailey gets a 4-seam fastball across, 0-1 the count. Want to thank Matt Capps for joining the show. Sox on 35th does the recaps for us. They're going to be joining us next weekend. 3 games, though, in Kansas City happening right after this game. As this one is sent to short, over to first. 6-3 out. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th. And as predicted, Yerman Mercedes will come in for Grandal and likely catch the next inning. You know, it's pouring rain, it's Easter. The guy's had 2 pinch hits and has not played defense at all. You got to give a guy a chance. As Bailey delivers to him, inside slider taken for a strike, 0-1. Mercedes has had 2 at-bats. He got a big hit in his first one. Was out in his second one, so he's hitting .500. 0-1 the count, the pitch on the way. Low, below the knees, 1-1. There's a lot of us that are not sure whether or not this is the right decision. A third catcher. And if you look at what's been going on, there's never really been an instance to bring him in. This one's chopped down third base. Good play by Donaldson. It's going to be close, but he's going to get him on the throw across. He had to get in foul territory and throw it over. Mercedes is retired. After 8, the Twins lead 8-3. Mercedes will remain at catcher behind the plate. And Evan Marshall will continue to pitch with Josh Donaldson up here in the top of the 9th and the White Sox trailing by 5. So let's talk a little bit about Yermin Mercedes. Because in spring training, the whole talk was, make him the 26th man. He's hitting so well. But now as we simulate the season, you realize, when are you going to have a guy come in who doesn't play good defense and pinch hits? Well, that was his third at bat. We are several weeks into the season now, and he is 1 for 3. Now, he did have a pretty good hit the one time he came up. But why have a third catcher on? Because how often are they going to help you? Quickly, Josh Donaldson is 1-2 as Marshall stares in. And the pitch on the way. Swung on and fouled off the backstop. You don't really need 3 catchers. And the White Sox have seen guys get tired. I'm going to tell you right now, as we simulate these games, Anderson needs a break. Moncada needs a break. Everybody needs a break. Your outfielders need a break. Roberts slowing down, he needs a break. You have a lot of young guys on this team. You need to give breaks to your position players. And that's why I don't know if the Yermin Mercedes argument makes sense. 3-2 pitch, swung on and missed, changeup tailing away. Donaldson goes down for the first out in the top of the 9th inning. So there's a good chance that Mercedes will not be on this team very much longer as we make the decisions here at Sox in the Basement. By the way, remember, this is all brought to you by our good friends over at Cork and Carry at the Park, 33rd in Princeton. Go check them out at corkandcarryatthepark.com or get some food through Grubhub. It's good stuff. Award-winning burgers, man. I don't know, they might start doing booze too soon. They're checking that out. 2-0 pitch now coming to Mitch Garver. Inside fastball taken for a strike, 2-1. A lot of things that we envision coming up here, Sox in the Basement, as we simulate the season. Because this one's inside taken for a ball, 3-1. We envision that Mercedes will eventually give way to likely an outfielder unless Nick Madrigal comes up, and that could be very soon. This one is chopped to short. Anderson backhands it across the first, and he is retired. 2 outs in the top of the 9th. Because, remember, if you can bring up Madrigal, Garcia almost becomes the backup outfielder, along with Engel, while Mendick can move around the infield. You become much more versatile during games. Because there's no reason for Yermin Mercedes. It almost feels like Mercedes is only here because they didn't want to bring up Madrigal to begin with. And in real life, I think that was the reason as well. 2-0 count now to Eddie Rosario. The other thing you can look for is by the end of this month or early May, we intend to promote Michael Kopech. Now, our belief is that Kopech, because he had pitched 5 weeks or 6 weeks in 2018, had earned service time. He gets all of 2019 in service time as well, but sent down to the minor leagues, even in real life, after the pandemic hit, as the count goes full to as the count goes full to Rosario. The White Sox have put his clock on hold, as this one is chopped to second. Garcia's going to grab it in the grass and send this one over to Abreu. So 1-2-3 for Marshall. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th, the White Sox trailing by 5. Rogers comes in, the lefty, and as he's a lefty, and he's 4 for 4 in save opportunities, Anamingo will come out to hit for Mazzara because he's been killing lefties. So the White Sox are going to let him bat in this game, hitting .421 on the season. In the bottom of the 9th, trailing by 5. First pitch, outside slider taken for a ball. Back to my point about Kopech. Kopech earned all of his time while he was on the DL, and he earned time in those few weeks that he was in the majors. But if the White Sox can keep him down in the minor leagues long enough, and he doesn't earn time, guess what? You get a year back. And we're going to play out that scenario because that's what we believe the White Sox would have done if everything was even. I don't know what they're going to do now. 3-0 quickly to Engel. But once Kopech gets past that threshold where the White Sox gain the extra year of control, he will join the squad, either in the bullpen or he will bump somebody to the bullpen. Outside pitch catches the corner. Rogers has Engel 3-1 here with no outs in the bottom of the ninth with a 5-run lead. The pitch on the way. And that one is a strike down the middle, slider, 3-2. Sox trailed all game. They trail by 5 right now in the bottom of the ninth. It has rained from start to finish. Most of the fans have left. There are probably more Twins fans than White Sox fans out there, and they're soaked. The pitch. Swung on and sent out to center field. That is going to drop in front for a base hit. So Engel's on in the pinch hit role. Much like Mazzara had a big pinch hit when he came in for him the other day, this platoon thing is working out great. So expect Mercedes to probably go down soon for Madrigal. And expect Kopech to come up, and it's not going to kick a starter out. It's going to kick a relief pitcher out of the team. I believe that's what we'll end up doing. And then we really won't worry unless there's an injury until Rodon shows up in mid to late June or early July. Hopefully by then we'll have regular baseball. Luis Robert steps up 0 for 3. He's quickly 1-1 in the count. Engel on first base, with the Sox trailing by 5 with no outs in the bottom of the ninth. If you look at the minor league system that MLB 20 The Show gives you, as this one gets away, runner advances 90 feet, Engel's on second. 2-1 count now to Luis Robert. If you look at what they show you in the minor leagues, there's not a lot down there. Like, you're not going to want to bring anybody else up besides Madrigal, Kopech, and Rodon. There may be a left-handed pitcher down there you grab up late in the season because Jace Fry has been ineffective at times when he's not in a loogie role, or he might have to make a trade. But other than that, unless there's an injury, this is your team. This one's taken for a strike, 2-2 to count. The pitch. Swung on and missed on a curveball tailing away. First out of the ninth inning. Rogers sets Robert down. Leary Garcia comes up for his second at bat of the game. He came in for Mendick earlier on. Also, another interesting thing for those that have stuck around this late in the game, in these simulations. For some reason, MLB The Show thinks Lucas Giolito hates his team. This one is fouled off down the first base line. His morale is so low, it's actually hurting his performance. So they give you like initial stats, but they say that he hates his contract, hates his team, hates his location, and hates his manager. Now, I don't think any of that is true. I haven't had any indication that Giolito hates Chicago and hates his manager, but they've made it that way. And he hates his contract. This one's a line shot to first, and Kepler going to pick it out of the air, and there's 2 outs now in the bottom of the ninth with a runner on second. And Tim Anderson will come up 0 for 3 with his team trailing by 5 in the pouring rain. A runner on second he's the last guy up. Rogers, the lefty, looks in. I'm sorry we had such a bad Easter. This is a sinker outside corner. It's been rough for all of us on Easter. A lot of us away from our families. This one's flared off down the right field line, and it's going to be fair. That's going to get down in the corner. The runner is going to score. Engel comes in very easily, and Anderson's in the second. It's 8-4 now with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. That's his 7th double of the season. In the end, the score will look like the White Sox kept it close. But with barely anybody in the ballpark here in the rain, we all know what really happened. As Moncada comes up hitting from the right side of the plate with a double, a single, and 2 RBI. 2 for 3 on the game. If he hit a home run right now, it'd be 8-6, with 2 outs in the middle of the lineup due up. But you can't get excited yet, although Southpaw is dancing on top of the dugout right now. I want to wish you, though, a happy Easter. I want you to understand it's going to get better. I tell my kids constantly, you're living through history. And one day when you're older, you're going to talk about this, and your grandkids and your kids, they're all going to sit around, they're going to be in awe of what you tell them about. Because they're going to learn about it in history books for hundreds of years. Count goes 1-1 after Moncada takes a ball and then an inside strike at the knees. The pitch. This one's chopped foul, 1-2 to count. But in the end, we will get through this. There is a light eventually at the end of the tunnel. It's not here now. I don't see it right now. But we're going to get there. As this one's flared out in the right center field, it's going to end up being caught unless there's an error. It will be caught and the game is over. So the White Sox end up taking 2 out of 3 from the Minnesota Twins, but drop the finale 8-4 and will remain in second place. Reynaldo Lopez got lit up early on a rainy afternoon here on the south side of Chicago. But White Sox fans came out, and I want to tell you something right now. We look good. And we've got Kansas City, 3 games. Then we come home for Texas for 4 and 3 more against Kansas City. And I'd be shocked if this team isn't poised to go on a run. The Twins were served notice, and they know it, even though they're smiling right now. They know they were served notice by the Chicago White Sox that this is going to be a long season. Jose Barrios gets the win, 6 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 7 strikeouts, 3 walks, 3 earned run. Reynaldo Lopez with a loss, 4 innings pitched, 7 hits, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, and 6 earned runs. Jorge Polanco, 3 for 5 with 2 home runs and 2 RBIs, because they were both solo shots. Tim Anderson was the best player for the White Sox, 1 for 4 with a double and 2 RBIs. Moncada was 2 for 4 with a double and 2 RBIs. And Mazzara 1 for 2 with a double and a run scored. We'll see you tomorrow in Kansas City. Pretty ballpark, good barbecue, terrible baseball fans. They couldn't name you 4 people on their roster, but they'll be standing out there in those baby blues. This is the White Sox simulated season. Remember to check out SoxOn35th.com for the recap. We will see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your Easter, folks. And thanks for listening to us. Sox in the Basement found everywhere podcasts can be found, and always SoxInTheBasement.com. Bye-bye, everybody.
Sox in the basement. Sox in the basement. Sox in the basement.
Sox in the Basement. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always on SoxInTheBasement.com.